The biggest problem that people have with diet adherence is fatigue, but not fatigue in a physiological sense, although that happens too, but more diet fatigue in the psychological sense. And what happens is they either go one or two ways. They either just fall off the wagon entirely, or in order to get to the desired results faster, they try to pull that lever harder. So if they're cutting, they increase the deficit even more. Or if they're bulking, they try to stuff in more food so that they can get to that target weight or that target look even faster. But the thing is kind of like adding weight to the bar. The weight to fatigue increase is not linear. So for the deeper of a caloric deficit you go, the diet fatigue is going to go up exponentially. The more food you try to stuff in your diet to bulk, the more you're just going to be like, I can't eat anymore exponentially. You're not going to like the answer, folks, but the way out is through. Check this out. So I got two different examples here. These are both male. We got one guy that's starting at 200 pounds and he wants to cut to 180. We have another guy who's starting at 160 and he wants to bulk to 180. So let's go through the guy that's trying to cut first, okay? So he's 200 pounds. He's trying to get, his maintenance calories are 3,000 using 200 times 15. His goal weight is 180. So we're gonna go 180 times 15, that's 2,700 calories. Keep it simple. That right there gives him a caloric deficit of 300 calories. So let's calculate his macros now, starting with protein. Protein, we're gonna go 1 gram per pound of desired body weight. I'm gonna explain why I go 1, not 1.5, and I go 1.5 for the cutter later. 1 gram per pound, so that's 180 times 4, because it's 4 calories per pound. So that gives us 700 calories of protein. Then for fats, we're gonna go 0.5 gram per pound, so that's 90 grams of fat times 9 calories for fat, so that's 810 calories. And then 720 plus 810 gives us 1530. 2700 minus 1530 gives us 1170 divided by 4 to get our remaining calories, which we can all use towards carbs if we want to, is 292.5 grams for carbs. So that gives for our cutter 2,700 daily calories total, protein of 180 grams, 292.5 grams of carbs, 90 grams of fat, and we're cutting from 200 to 180. Okay, now our bulking gentleman. He's starting at 180. His maintenance calories, 180 times 15, are 2,400 calories roughly. His goal weight is 180 pounds. So 180 times 15 is 2,700. His surplus is 300 calories. Same figure as the cutting gentleman. So his protein, we're going to go 180 times 1.5, which gives us 270 grams times 4 is going to be 1,080 calories. And then his fats, same figure, 0.5. So that gives us 90 times 9 is 810. And then his remaining calories are going to be that 1,080 plus 810 equals 1,890. 2,700 minus 1,890 is 810. 810 divided by 4 gives us 202.5 grams of carbs for a grand total of 2,700 calories, 270 grams of protein, 202.5 grams of carbs, 90 grams of fat, and again, we're bulking from 160 to 180. Now, why did I go 1 gram per pound of body weight for protein to this guy and 1.5 for this guy? And it's not because this guy is bulking and this guy's cutting. Because remember, folks, I said in an earlier video, typically if I have a guy who's trying to bulk, especially if he's a hard gainer, I'm going to up his carbs. But there's a reason why I did this. When it comes to diet adherence, it's not always about the X's and O's. You have to take into account the psychological factors. The biggest thing with diet fatigue is that this guy is used to eating a lot more food and this guy isn't. So if I don't allow this guy to at least initially have a massive buffer for his carbs, he's gonna hit diet fatigue a lot earlier. And likewise, this guy, if I force him to eat too much right away, he's going to hit diet fatigue a lot earlier as well. So that's why I have these figures. I want to make sure I have enough protein to support their goals. So this guy, we don't want to lose muscle. This guy, we want to gain muscle. And we still want to keep the carbs high in both cases. This guy to sustain activity, because he's going to have to do a lot of work to cut the weight. And this guy to promote anabolism, because he's going to need a lot of carbs for that anti-catabolic lever. But at the same time, I can't just look at the X's and O's, because human beings don't operate how the numbers look on paper. You have to take into account psychology as well. Now, real quick on my second whiteboard here, we got weeks 1 through 6, 6 to 12, 12 to 18. We got the cutter and the bulker, their diet fatigues, and then the results. So the first couple weeks, we start seeing some good results, moderate to low diet fatigue, a little bit of water loss, a little bit of water gain. We're still going down, fatigue's going up. We're starting to lose less water, maybe lost a little bit of fat, gain a little bit of muscle. Right around here, for most people, is where they fall off the wagon. The stress from the diet starts getting high, in addition to compounding stress from the rest of life. So the bulker might start seeing his weight go down again. The cutter might start seeing their weight go up, whether it's because of water weight, whether it's because their body is just attempting to revert back to homeostasis, because you haven't been doing this for that long. You might think, as a person, that it's been 12 to 18 weeks. That's plenty of time. But as an organism, that's just a drop in the bucket, right? So right around here is usually when people fall off the wagon. If you keep going, though, that's where the magic happens, right? So like 18 to 24, weight starts coming off again or going on, as the case may be. Diet fatigue starts becoming less. Then pretty soon, by weeks 24 to 30, the cutters almost at their goal weight. By 30 to 36, they're there. The bulker's almost there too. Diet fatigue's almost nothing. And at the end of the day, both of them look like completely different people. The person that was 200 pounds, that 20 pounds of fat lost, they can see abs now, they can see veins. The guy that went from, 160 to 175, maybe half of that is contractile tissue, even if a third of that, even if 5 pounds of contractile tissue, go to the store and pick up 5 pounds of steak. That's a ton of muscle. That guy's gonna look noticeably more jacked, right? And all because they pushed past this kind of inflection point here where they managed to just hold on past the diet fatigue. The reason why it's a lot easier if you just kind of keep going and hold what you got is because you got to think about the math, right? So the guy that's cutting from 200 to 180, by the time he makes it to week 25, 26, and he's 183 pounds, his maintenance calories at that point are 2745. So he's basically at maintenance calories and no longer at a 300 calorie deficit. What used to starve him is now just a normal amount of food. And it's the same thing for the guy that's bulking. As he continues to gain weight, he's going to need more calories, particularly because contractile tissue, more muscle, is very metabolically demanding. So between the extra activity and the extra muscle he's holding, he's just gonna have to eat more to just feel normal. So that's why it gets easier if you just keep pushing past that diet fatigue point instead of cranking the lever harder and trying to get over with it faster. That's not the way to go. Just hold what you got and lean in on what makes you successful. For me, I've been this lean for a while now, but if you look at the before picture, I took 38 weeks to get rid of all that. Why? So that it wouldn't be that stressful to me as an organism. And so once I got to here, I could stay here indefinitely with minimal effort. Lean in on what makes you successful. Stay in the fight.